Alright, folks, what's going on? It's your friendly neighborhood old soldier coming at you today on this Monday of Thanksgiving week. First and foremost, I want to wish everybody a wonderful and happy upcoming Thanksgiving. Remember the men and women who are serving our nation and our communities that won't be home, and their families, and for the sacrifices they make, that we can come together in our own homes, sit down and enjoy our Thanksgiving meal. Sorry for the camera angle. I'm in the van. Don't have a mountain yet for it, so you get to see up my nostril again this morning. Woohoo! So I've kind of kept quiet about the whole issue with Kyle Rittenhouse. One, though, I'm glad he was found not guilty on all charges. Does it restore my faith and hope in our judicial system? Not really. Why'd I say that? Because while he was found not guilty, awesome, amen, amazing, the fact that the mainstream media, the ones full of communists, are continuing to attack him, the judicial system. And what I find, and it's mostly MSNBC and CNN that are pushing this, is that they still continue to call him a murderer, a vigilante, and a white supremacist. And again, and after, seeing bits and pieces of trial, doing some research, Grosskreutz, the one that, blew the prosecution's case for him, he was supposed to be their star witness. It was said he was a convicted felon. According to what I dug up and researched last night, his felony conviction was expunged. And the reason I want to make this important is because we, on the conservative side of things, we are always accused of not getting things right. And once again, on this one, I think, hey, we're always accusing the other side of not getting things right, which a lot of times they don't. But at the same token, hear me out. What does an expunged record mean? Well, for my military brethren that were ever recruiters, you know that an expungement means that basically it never happened per se. It's kind of like the judge gives an individual a pass, a second chance. It doesn't count against them. I mean, the fact that he had a conviction for a felony, and I'm not sure what it was, but it was expunged. But it doesn't negate the fact that he had another misdemeanor charge in 2015 of something in the nature of being drunk with a firearm. How that was a misdemeanor, not a felony, I don't know. But I'll digress. Point being is that while he was no angel, apparently under Wisconsin law, he was legal to have a firearm per se. I'd have to dig a little more into this, but the reason I want to clarify that is that when we start saying things like this about people, we need to make sure we're on our P's and Q's and know what we're talking about without going out there and having to come back and eat crow, especially on something as important as this. And no, I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying that's what, lack of a better term, our enemies will use against us every time. As far as the other two and their criminal records, I get it, but honestly, their criminal records had nothing to do with what happened. What had to do with what happened was their actions they took against Kyle Rittenhouse. And he acted accordingly and defended himself. Now, into that regards, apparently the business that he was guarding was his grandparents. And unlike what the liberal media keeps saying, his father lives in Kenosha, his grandparents live in Kenosha, his mother's the one that lives out of state. And the whole firearms charge being dropped by the judge, I thought was an awesome call. Now, of course, from what bits and pieces I've heard, now there's supposedly threats against the judge and his family. Which, with the volatility of our nation today, right now, that does not surprise me in the least bit. The fact that the jury came to the right conclusion, though, I have to say is wonderful. But again, the left's continual attack of character, I've done lost my train of thought, trying to concentrate on the traffic, talk to y'all at the same time. Oh well. Anyway, that's for you, Brother Kyle. Like I said, though, the left continues to attack Kyle's character, misconstrue the story, because that's the other thing, the whole thing of why it was there, what for. And again, as I've told people I've talked to, did Kyle Rittenhouse do anything wrong with being there? No. Now, you can say what you want, you can say what you will. Now, I'm going to talk about some things that some of you might not want to hear, but I'm just my perspective. At 17 years of age, he's down there protecting his grandparents' business. I commend him. Supposedly he even put out a dumpster fire that was being pushed to another gas station. I commend him for that. He showed a lot of maturity for a 17-year-old, but also at the end of the day, given what was going on, had it been my kid, I'd have told him to stay home. And we would have dealt with the aftermath, just for the fact of how violent things were getting. At the same token, I can say that now, 2020 hindsight. What would I said at the moment, I can't go back and tell you. Wasn't there. I'm not going to say that Kyle put himself in a bad position. I would say, well, I'll leave it at that. You come to your own conclusions, what you think. I'm not going to put words in anybody's mouth. My opinion is better judgment should have prevailed before we went there. That being said, I still don't think he did anything wrong. A jury of his peers concluded the same. And at the end of the day, I still commend him for what he was trying to do. Because again, there's a lot of 17-year-olds out there. When I was a 17-year-old boy, without getting too gross, I only had about 3 things on my mind when I was 17 years old. And it involved women. I had 3 things on my mind. I am not going to lie. I'm not saying I was an immature 17-year-old, but honestly, I don't know if I would have handled the situation the way he did when I was 17. I can say that honestly. I can say that my level of maturity probably wasn't on par with his. And I say that to say this, because the media also makes him out to be some vigilante that showed up there to go and shoot and kill black people. The only thing he did was defend himself. Joy Reid, Al Sharpton. Skateboard's not a lethal weapon. Google death by skateboard and see what pops up. My daughter did the other day, and it showed a skateboarder got hit in the head with a skateboard and died. Skateboard can be used as a lethal weapon. You're talking about laminated plywood along with steel wheel chucks, or trucks is what they actually call them, on the bottom. You smack somebody in the head hard enough with them, you can kill somebody. Then the fact that the other fella pointed his gun at him. Now, of course, he later stated after the trial that he didn't think his weapon was loaded, meaning he had one in the pipe. But there's eyewitness testimony to a gentleman that picked up the weapon after it happened, who, when he checked it, there was a round in the chamber. No, I firmly believe that Mr. Grosskreutz was going to put that gun to that boy's head and shoot him had Kyle not defended himself. Now, again, my opinion. The bottom line is this. Justice was served. That boy's going to have etched forever in his mind the 3 lives that he took. He's the one that's got to live with that. 17 years old, and by evidence of his reactions in the courtroom, that has scarred him. And it's going to be an emotional and mental scar that's going to follow him the rest of his life. Now, I'm not saying he's the only 17-year-old that's had to experience a traumatic event like that. Okay? A whole lot of veterans out there have seen things like that at a very young age. But I need to get that off my chest, get my opinion out there, air it, so we're done with it. Pray for that young man and his family. Because it's not over, folks. It's not over. Old soldier, he got acquitted. Yeah, he was acquitted. But there's still going to be people that are going to remember him for what he did and how the mainstream media portrayed him to be some evil, white supremacist vigilante who was going out there to go murder people. There's several newspaper articles that have come out since the acquittal talking about he got away with murder. You see, the mainstream media, the communist-controlled media, cannot let this go. Cannot let this go. So this young man and his family are still going to have to contend with this for years to come. Now, I pray him and his family and his defense lawyer team turn around and file civil suits against CNN, NBC, MSNBC, CBS, written media. And I hope they fry every one of them. Anyway, folks, y'all stay safe, stay armed, stay vigilant, keep your eyes open, your head on the swivel. And until I talk to y'all next, God bless, take care. Soul Soldier out.